Hey, I'm above average Adam, and it doesn't matter if you're here or here because right now you're here. So welcome to my channel. Shout out to my friends for this awesome shirt, and welcome to the first episode of how to go from badder to better. It's so pretty and pink. If you haven't checked out this week's sneak peek of the week, be sure to check that out as it'll outline what this series is all about. So let's get to it. Today we're going to talk about foundation. We all know what that is. Foundation. It's the base, the basics, the basis, the groundwork, the core, the baseline, the fundamental, the essence, the principle. Generally speaking, it is a minimum skill set you need in order to get by, what is needed in order to develop and progress further in the future. It is the most important part of anything. Like a house without a foundation as a basic support, it will collapse on itself. Yet, no matter how important I make this out to be, we seem to neglect this basic foundation every day when it should be the strongest part of what we do. People always try to skip steps and jump ahead. Take this for example, the foundation of life: water, nutrition, and rest. Yet we all have bad habits. I know personally speaking, I don't drink enough water. You're supposed to drink like 8 cups a day. I don't eat necessarily healthy. There's a lot of junk food, sugar, fat, and I sleep at ungodly hours. It's terrible. And these basic things to sustain our lives are at our fingertips, yet we don't take care of it like we should. I mean, exercise isn't even on that list because exercise should be a given. It's a luxury that we don't have to go and hunt and survive. But the foundation of something should be easily done without having to think about it. Something you can always fall back on and rely on. Think of it this way. If you feel sick, you drink lots of water and you eat right. You can sleep on it and the next day it might be better. And here's the thing. The difference between being average and above average is a solid foundation. To be above average means you have a solid foundation. That means you can work to strive towards a little better. Anything you do, try to find out what the foundation is and work on it. You can pinpoint what the foundation is for anything. In b-boying, there's top rock, footwork, power, and freezes. In badminton, the foundation is serving and hitting. Moving isn't even a part of that because moving is a means to get to the hitting. So you've been doing something for a long time, you figured out what the foundation is. What do you do about it? How do you work on your foundation? Here are some things you can do to strengthen that foundation. Step 1, relearn the basics. Learn from scratch. Put yourself as a beginner once again. Doesn't matter if you're 5, 10, 55, 65, be an adult beginner, doesn't matter. Having a good set technique and form is a really important thing to build for the future. People get so caught up with getting the motions and getting the results without doing it properly. But it's all meant to build towards something. Everything you do now is meant for what's gonna come next. Even if you think you know everything about something, does it hurt to revisit it? Maybe you'll discover something new in learning from scratch. Step 2, get different perspectives. Learn from many different people. It's like when you do research, you're not going to go to one source. Go to many sources. More importantly, find the reasoning why people do the same thing you do. They might have a completely different reason for why they do it. Know the purpose. Know why you do it personally, and find out why someone else does it. In badminton, a drop shot is a shot from the back to the front. And someone told me to be more consistent at that shot, you have to be completely stopped in order to hit that shot. At first, I completely rejected the idea. I thought, this is ridiculous because it's not something I did. However, after trying it, I figured out the reasoning why that helped, and it seemed to work. So it began to make sense for me. And step 3, keep it simple and slow. We try to go way too quick, way too fast. We all try to run before we can walk. I mean, look at school. It's not easy for everyone. We all have to go at the same pace, but people learn at different rates. If you can't keep up, that means you gotta put in the extra work elsewhere. In order to keep it simple and slow, break it down. Things that are foundational can still be broken down. You don't wanna break something down so that you have to follow 20 different steps. Make it easy and quick to remember. 3 to 5 steps so that you can easily go back to that and revisit it every time. Foundation can evolve. The basic foundation for badminton as a beginner would be serving and hitting. As you develop further, the foundation becomes the basic shot: drop, the clear, the smash, the net, the lift. Each of those have specific purposes, such as getting the bird from the back to the back, from the front to the front, from the front to the back to the front, etc. When you become more advanced, badminton then becomes a chess game. becomes about trying to move your opponent off of their base and get them off balance so you can win the point. Even as you break things down and start from one step and move to the next, you don't want to take shortcuts. Learn the long and hard way, and then you can always cut it down later. You can always take things out, but sometimes if you don't know the next step, it's hard to add that into the previous. It's like learning to play the guitar. You're not going to learn to play a chord with one finger. If you can't do the full open chords and you do chords with 1 or 2 fingers, you don't get the full effect of the sounds. If you start with learning the 3 fingers, you can always take out 1 finger, but it's about having that skill available in your toolkit in case you need that full open chord. So practice your foundation by breaking it down, and you can practice your foundation anywhere doing different things. You don't have to do the activity in order to think about it and practice it. You just gotta be creative and think about it. In badminton, I can just practice my grip, holding the racket, even if I'm holding a pen. So think of ways to practice a foundation that means something to you. And it doesn't matter if you think you know it or if you're professional. Unless you can do something perfectly 10 times in a row, blindfolded, or with your arms tied, it means you haven't mastered it. There's always work that can be done. Let me give you an example. In badminton, let's say we're just working on hitting the bird. Let's break it down. Throw something into a target. If you can do that easily, try to get 5 out of 10 at least. It's not about getting the flukes or getting lucky. It's about finding consistent quality, because you want consistent quality in your foundation. So it's something you can always fall back on when you need it. Try swinging the racket. You can do that perfectly without your form breaking. Move on to the next step. Add a shuttle. If you can hit the shuttle 10 times in a row, that's great. And then move on to the next step. If you can hit the birdie at a specific place 5 out of 10 times in a row, that's even better. And then finally, it would be moving to get to the birdie, hitting the birdie into a specific target. So that's how you break down a simple foundation. What? Everything has a foundation. Through studying acting, I learned that there's a foundation we all neglect. Your body. Think about your spine, your hips, your feet, your knees, your alignment. What do you do when you walk, when you sit, when you sleep? Are you treating your body right? There are things that we don't bother to deal with unless it becomes an issue, and that's a real problem. It's never too late to start. Go back to your foundation, review it, and strengthen it. Someone said it takes 20 hours to learn something and 10,000 hours to master it. I don't know if that's true or not, but if you can do a skill 5 out of 10 times easily, and then 10 out of 10 times easily, with quality and consistency, then you're set. I don't care how many hours it took you. It took you only 10 hours. That's fantastic. But even just by thinking about your foundation, you could do a lot towards it. You're putting in the hours, and you can add towards that 10,000 hour goal to master it. It doesn't matter where you are, where you think you are, always work on your foundation and keep it going. So it's as simple as that, your foundation. So if you have any comments, questions, any sort of input, or if you're having trouble finding out what your foundation for an activity is, feel free to comment, give your input, give your story. If you truly like what you see, like and subscribe. And if you think someone can benefit from a video like this, please share it. Thanks. Above Average Adam, out.